I'm doing a critical review of the 2020 movie Emma. None of these photos are mine. This is all fair use because I cannot review it without showing you who and what I'm talking about. First of all, I will do a quick review of everything I liked about the movie. The settings were beautiful. The costumes were phenomenal. Some of the music was good. And everything else was kind of crap. You are introduced to Mr. Knightley here, not by his face, but by his naked bum. There was no reason for it. He was just getting dressed, and there he is naked. No reason. So this movie shouldn't be PG. It should be PG-13. Also, they rewrote it, but not well. They wanted to make it a pure comedy. Most of the comedic scenes that they tried to add just fell flat and didn't make sense. All of the problems are producer and writing, directing. All of the issues I have with this movie come from that. My mother put it this way: this person who made this movie hates Emma and hates Jane Austen. And that is how it came across. The pacing of the movie was very bad. They managed to take a 2-hour movie and make it feel like a 3-hour movie, which is the opposite of what you want to do. You want to take a 3-hour movie and have it feel like an hour and a half because so much is happening and it's happening very quickly at a very good pace. This movie didn't have a good pace. The father in the movie, Bill Nighy, I think you pronounce it, maybe Bill Nye, very good actor. And I wouldn't say he's the wrong choice, but the way he was directed to act was kind of counterintuitive to the character. The character is very cautious, very worries about everyone, but Bill is a very spry actor, and they had him acting very spry when saying everyone's going to die from eating cake, which it didn't fit the character. In the 2009 version, Michael Gambon was phenomenal. He played the character to a T, and you wouldn't know that he wasn't like that unless you see him in interviews afterward. I watched the interviews, and I was watching that interview with my mom, and he's like, he's a completely different guy. He's not worried about everything. He doesn't act old. He was 69 at the time, but he acts very young, has a very sharp mind, can tell you stories about working for the BBC from 40 years ago. He's a very good actor. This didn't convey any of what the character is in the book. And I would have forgiven most of these things, and had it been an Emma that I don't really like and I only watch once a year, had they not completely screwed up the ending and just made it crap. So instead of the large romantic scene that's at the end, they get into a fight and she randomly gets a terrible nosebleed. It wasn't with the character. That was not written. I mean, I admit that scene has been done to death, and it's very difficult to write that scene because Emma was not written what she said. So Jane Austen didn't exactly write what her reply to her beau when he says, "I love you, dearest Emma, because dearest you have always been." She didn't write the reply. She said she replied the way she ought to have replied. So instead of doing the ending well and me forgiving all the horribleness that was in that movie, they just had a nosebleed and a fight. Ugh. Also, the makeup, it looked like none of the actors were wearing any makeup. You want to look natural, but you don't want to look pale and sickly, which most of the actors did. And though a lot of the actors are attractive in their real lives, they work their hardest to make them look unattractive. You compare pictures of how they look in real life and how they looked in the movie, and it's night and day. They look awful. It's almost kind of funny. And I was joking with my mom that Mr. Weston, who really doesn't need any makeup, he's in his 50s, very attractive man for someone of that age. In the movie, he looks more attractive than anyone else in the movie because of choices of hair and makeup and costumes, which, yes, the costumes are beautiful, but the way they put them on some of the actors emphasized everything that's wrong with that actor, Mr. Elton, and those Dumbo ears. I've seen him look in pictures where he looks kind of attractive. He looked terrible in the movie. Mr. Churchill also looked pretty ugly, and you see pictures of him. He's quite handsome. Mr. Knightley, who, yes, is supposed to be quite handsome, didn't look his best. I've seen pictures of him with his hair shorter. Looks much better. So all of the choices together are just bad, and probably because I really don't think the director and the writer really like Jane Austen. And if you do not like Jane Austen, maybe you shouldn't be writing it. I mean, it is a complete unnecessary movie because of all of the weird quirks. Should have been rated PG-13, but most people wouldn't have ended up watching it. You know, these are the type of movies you want to watch with your children, your grandchildren, your nieces and nephews, because usually they're appropriate. This was inappropriate. Do not watch this movie with your children. That is your warning. If you don't want to listen to any of my other comments about pacing and the weird loud music, don't watch this with your kids. Have a great day, and thank you for watching and listening.